Before you skip, before you lower the volume, before you tell yourself, I'll watch this later, let me tell you something very carefully. If your heart was not being worked on by Allah right now, you would not be listening to this. Most people will hear these words and feel nothing. But some people will feel uncomfortable, restless, quietly exposed. If that's you, this message is not random. Lately, Allah has been pulling your attention away from things you once thought you needed, and you don't fully understand why. You feel disconnected, but not lost. You feel tired, but not empty. You feel like something important is happening inside you, but you can't explain it to anyone. And here is the part most people don't realize. When Allah refines someone's focus, He does it before something big changes in their life, not after. Most people only understand this too late. That's why I need you to stay until the end of this video, because near the end, I will explain the one sign that confirms whether this change is temporary or whether Allah is preparing you for a completely different level of life. If you leave early, you'll miss the moment where everything finally makes sense. So don't rush, don't skip, just listen. Because what you're feeling right now is not confusion, it's the beginning of clarity. When dunya loses its color, Allah is adjusting your vision. There comes a moment in life that is very difficult to explain to people. Nothing dramatic happens, no big loss, no loud disaster. Yet inside you, something quietly changes. You wake up one morning and realize that the world does not feel the same anymore. The things you once ran after no longer pull your heart. The goals you once dreamed about no longer excite you. The noise that once entertained you now feels heavy, and you sit there quietly wondering, what is happening to me? You still have blessings, you still have health, you still have opportunities, but the joy feels distant. This moment is very misunderstood. Many people think this feeling means they are failing. Others think it means they are depressed. Some think it means they are becoming lazy or ungrateful. But that is not the truth. This feeling often appears when Allah begins to gently wake a heart that was sleeping inside the dunya. You see, the dunya is very powerful. It knows how to shine. It knows how to distract. It knows how to make temporary things feel permanent. And for a long time, you were running, chasing, building, wanting, hoping. Your heart was busy. Your mind was occupied. Your days were full. But Allah saw something you could not see. Allah saw your heart slowly attaching itself to things that were never meant to last. Allah saw your peace depending on outcomes. Allah saw your happiness tied to approval, success, people, or plans. And because Allah loves you, He did not let that continue. So He did something very gentle and very powerful. He removed the sweetness, not the blessings, not the opportunities, not the life itself, but the sweetness. Suddenly, achievements feel empty. Praise feels light. Success feels quiet. Even things you prayed for do not feel the way you imagined. And that confuses you because you think, I should be happy, so why am I not? But listen carefully. Allah removes the sweetness of this world when it begins to replace Him in the heart. Not because He is angry, but because He is protective. A heart that is too entertained by the dunya forgets its true home. A heart that feels too satisfied here stops preparing for what comes next. A heart that feels complete in this world slowly forgets Allah. So Allah steps in. He makes you feel disconnected. Not from life, but from attachment. You start enjoying silence more than noise. You start preferring peace over excitement. You start wanting meaning instead of applause. And the world looks at you and says, you changed. Yes, you changed, but not in a bad way. Your heart matured. Allah is teaching you without words. He is teaching you that this life is not meant to fulfill you completely. That happiness here will always be incomplete. That no amount of success can fill a space only Allah created. This is why things lose their color. Not because life is dark, but because your eyes are learning to see deeper. When a child grows, toys lose their attraction. Not because toys are bad, but because the child is growing. In the same way, when the soul grows, the dunya loses its shine, and this growth is uncomfortable. Because part of you still wants to feel excited. Part of you still wants to feel proud. Part of you still wants to feel that old fire. But Allah is slowly teaching you something greater than excitement. He is teaching you peace. The kind of peace that does not depend on people. The kind of peace that does not rise and fall with success. The kind of peace that stays even when nothing is happening. This is why you feel strange. This is why you feel quiet. This is why you feel detached. Not because Allah left you, but because Allah is bringing you closer. When the dunya loses its color, it is often a sign that the heart is being cleaned. Cleaned from false hopes, cleaned from unrealistic expectations, cleaned from attachments that would have broken you later. Allah knows something about the future that you do not. He knows what would have hurt you. He knows what would have distracted you. He knows what would have delayed you. So before those things take control of your heart, He gently makes them less attractive. And yes, sometimes this process hurts, because letting go hurts. Even when what you are letting go of is not good for you. You miss the excitement, you miss the motivation, you miss the feeling of chasing something. But Allah replaces that rush with something deeper. He replaces noise with awareness. He replaces hunger with understanding. He replaces restlessness with reflection. You begin to think more. You begin to feel more. You begin to question more. And this questioning is not doubt. It is awakening. You start asking, what truly matters? What stays when everything else leaves? What kind of life do I want to stand before Allah with? These are not small questions. These are sacred questions. Questions only an awake heart asks. And slowly, very slowly, the heart begins to turn upward, not away from life, but beyond it. You begin to realize that this world was never meant to be your final happiness. It was meant to be a bridge, a test, a preparation. And when the bridge starts to feel uncomfortable, it is because you were not meant to build a home on it. This is Allah adjusting your vision. He is lifting your eyes higher. He is training your heart to look beyond what fades. He is reminding you, do not stop here. And when the world becomes smaller in your heart, something very beautiful happens. Your prayers become honest, not rushed, not robotic, but real. Your tears become meaningful, not dramatic, but sincere. Your relationship with Allah becomes quieter, but stronger. You stop asking Allah only for things. You start asking Him for peace, for guidance, for closeness. And that is when the hereafter begins to feel real, not as a fear, but as a promise. Not as an ending, but as a home. This is not sadness. This is not emptiness. This is Allah slowly removing the veil from your heart. As this change continues inside you, you may notice something else happening. You begin to feel out of place, even in places where you once felt at home. Rooms feel smaller. Gatherings feel louder. Certain conversations feel shallow, and you sit there, smiling on the outside, while your heart quietly feels distant. Not because you think you are better than others, not because you hate people, but because your soul is no longer fed by the same things. This stage is very sensitive. Many people panic here. They think, why don't I feel connected anymore? Why do I feel alone even around people? Why does everything feel surface level? Listen carefully. This is what happens when Allah begins to refine the heart. Before, your heart was busy reacting to opinions, reacting to praise, reacting to attention. Now, your heart is learning to observe, and observation feels lonely at first, because once Allah opens your inner sight, you cannot unsee what you see. You notice how temporary everything is. You notice how quickly moods change. You notice how fragile plans are. You notice how attached people are to things that disappear. And this awareness is heavy. But it is also a gift. Allah does not give this awareness to everyone. He gives it to those He wants to protect. Because a heart that sees clearly is less likely to be fooled. This is why the dunya feels smaller now. Not because it lost value completely, but because it lost control over you. Before, a delay could shake you. A rejection could break you. A loss could define you. Now, even when things hurt, they don't own you the same way. You feel pain, but you don't drown in it. You feel disappointment, but you don't lose yourself. Because Allah is teaching your heart where to stand. you may notice that your desires are changing too. Things you once begged Allah for, you now hesitate to even ask. Not because you don't want good, but because you don't want distraction. You begin to fear losing Allah more than losing opportunities. You begin to fear attachment more than absence. You begin to value peace more than progress. This is not weakness. This is wisdom forming. Allah is slowly teaching you that not everything you can have is something you should have. And this lesson comes quietly. There is no announcement, no signboard, no dramatic moment. Just a heart that feels less impressed. You scroll and feel nothing. You listen and feel tired. You watch and feel empty. And in that emptiness, Allah creates space. Space for reflection. Space for remembrance. Space for truth. Because a heart that is always full of noise has no room for Allah. So Allah empties it gently, gradually, lovingly. You may feel strange during this time. Some days you feel calm, other days you feel lost. Some nights you feel close to Allah, other nights you feel confused. This back and forth is normal because the heart is learning a new way of living. Before, it lived outward. Now, it is learning to live inward. Before, it was fed by excitement. Now, it is fed by meaning. And meaning takes time to settle. You may also notice that Allah brings you moments of deep reflection. Late at night, early in the morning. When you are alone, moments where your heart feels soft. Moments where tears come without effort. Moments where you feel a strange closeness to Allah. These moments are not random. They are invitations. Allah is inviting you to know Him beyond routine, beyond habit, beyond words. He is inviting you to feel Him. And once you taste that closeness, the dunya can never satisfy you the same way again. Because how can something temporary compare to a connection that feels eternal? This is why the heart changes. This is why the world feels quieter. This is why your focus is shifting. Allah is not taking joy away from you. He is changing where your joy comes from. From things to Him. From outcomes to trust. From control to surrender. And yes, surrender is scary at first because the ego likes control. The mind likes certainty. The heart likes guarantees. But Allah offers something better. He offers peace without guarantees. Calm without conditions. Strength without noise. You begin to realize that you don't need to rush anymore. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to compete. You don't need to explain yourself. Because Allah sees you. And being seen by Allah is enough. The dunya losing its color is not a sign that life is empty. It is a sign that your heart is waking up to a deeper kind of life. A life where Allah is not on the side, but at the center. And when Allah becomes the center, everything else finds its proper place. Not too big, not too small, just enough. This is not the end of joy. This is the beginning of peace. This is not emptiness. This is space for Allah. This is not loss. This is guidance. And if your heart feels this today, know that Allah is very close to you, closer than you think. Allah removes noise before He gives direction. There comes a time when the noise around you starts to feel unbearable. Not loud noise only, but emotional noise, mental noise, people noise, too many voices, too many opinions, too many expectations. Everyone wants something from you. Everyone has advice. Everyone has judgment. Everyone has access. And slowly, your heart begins to feel tired. You notice that conversations drain you instead of filling you. You notice that explaining yourself feels heavy. You notice that being around people leaves you exhausted, not energized. And you begin to wonder, why am I feeling like this now? Why do I need space? Why do I just want quiet? This feeling is not random. When Allah wants to guide someone clearly, He first removes the noise. Because guidance does not enter a crowded heart. A heart that is always listening to people cannot hear Allah. For a long time, your attention was everywhere. On people's expectations, on society's standards, on comparison, on approval. Your heart was constantly reacting to messages, reacting to opinions, reacting to praise and criticism. And Allah watched quietly He watched how every voice pulled you in a different direction. He watched how your peace was being divided. He watched how clarity was being lost. So Allah began to gently reduce the noise, not by changing people, but by changing you. Suddenly, certain conversations feel meaningless. Suddenly, certain social spaces feel overwhelming. Suddenly, you don't want to speak as much. This does not mean you are becoming cold. It means you are becoming selective. And selectiveness is a sign of maturity. Allah removes noise before He gives direction. Because before Allah shows you where to go, He must first stop the confusion. Think about it. How can a heart receive guidance when it is pulled in 10 directions? How can clarity come when everyone is shouting inside your mind? So Allah gives you silence. At first, silence feels uncomfortable because silence forces you to face yourself. In noise, you are distracted. In silence, you are exposed. You start hearing your own thoughts, your fears, your regrets, your unanswered questions. And many people run from this stage. They fill silence with music, with scrolling, with constant talking. But Allah does not let you escape so easily because He wants to meet you there. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. Space where Allah places understanding. Space where truth rises. Space where the heart finally breathes. You may notice that you don't want to argue anymore. You don't want to explain yourself anymore. You don't want to prove anything anymore. This is not weakness. This is your soul saying, I want peace more than being right. And that shift is powerful because the loudest people are rarely the clearest ones. Allah trains clarity in quiet places. This is why He removes noise. Sometimes He removes people. Sometimes He removes gatherings. Sometimes He removes the desire to speak, not because people are bad, but because your heart needs space to realign. During this phase, you may feel misunderstood. People might say, you changed. You became distant. You don't talk like before. They don't understand. They don't see the inner work Allah is doing. They don't see how Allah is cleaning your inner world. And you don't need to explain because not everyone is meant to understand your silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is communication between you and Allah. In silence, you begin to notice things you missed before. You notice how rushed life is. You notice how anxious people are. You notice how little time is spent on what truly matters. And this awareness feels heavy at first, but it also feels honest. Allah is sharpening your awareness because a distracted heart cannot carry guidance. Guidance requires presence, and presence requires quiet. This is why Allah sometimes makes you step back. You stop attending everything. You stop engaging in everything. You stop responding to everything. Not out of pride, but out of protection. Your heart is learning boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They protect what is sacred inside you. And your heart is sacred. Allah would not refine it. If it were not valuable, you may also notice that your connection with Allah feels different during this time. Your du'as become slower. Your prayers become deeper. Your words become fewer, but more honest. You no longer pray to impress. You pray to connect. You no longer speak to fill silence. You speak when it matters. This is Allah teaching you quality over quantity, depth over noise, truth over performance. And this process is gentle, but firm. Allah will not allow noise back until clarity is formed. Because once clarity enters the heart, noise loses its power. As the silence grows around you, something else begins to happen inside you. You start noticing a strange feeling, a quiet loneliness that does not come from being alone, but from being different. You can be surrounded by people and still feel distant. You listen to conversations, but your heart does not enter them. You smile, you respond, you are present. Yet inside, you feel detached. This is a sensitive stage. Many people think this means something is wrong with them. They think they are becoming cold, antisocial, or broken. But listen carefully. This loneliness is not emptiness. It is transition. You are no longer fed by what once fed you, but you have not yet fully tasted what will replace it. So the heart feels caught in between. Allah allows this feeling because He is teaching you to stop depending on people to fill your inner space. For a long time, your peace came from conversations, from being understood, from being heard, from being included. But people are limited. They get tired, they misunderstand, they disappoint. So Allah slowly reduces your dependence on them, not by making them bad, but by making them less necessary. You begin to realize that not everyone needs access to your inner world, that not every thought needs to be spoken, that not every feeling needs to be explained. This is maturity. Allah is teaching your heart to become a safe place for itself. During this stage, Allah also allows you to see people clearly. You notice who speaks without thinking. You notice who listens only to respond. You notice who drains your energy without realizing it. Not so you judge them, but so you protect yourself. Because guidance cannot grow in a heart that is constantly leaking energy. Silence becomes your shield. You may also notice that Allah removes your desire to argue. Before, you wanted to correct. You wanted to convince. You wanted to defend. Now you just want peace. You realize that being calm is better than being right. That walking away is sometimes wiser than explaining. This is not weakness. This is strength wrapped in humility. Allah is teaching you to choose your battles carefully. Because a heart at war with everyone cannot be at peace with Allah. As the silence deepens, you also begin to hear something new. Your own voice, not the voice shaped by society. Not the voice shaped by expectations, but the voice of your soul. You begin to understand what hurts you, what excites you, what drains you, what heals you. This self-awareness is not self-centeredness. It is self-knowledge. And self-knowledge leads to God consciousness. Because the more you understand your weakness, the more you appreciate Allah's strength, the more you recognize your limits, the more you rely on Allah. During this time, Allah may distance you from certain people. Not because they are bad, not because you are better, but because they are not aligned with where you are going. Alignment is not about superiority. It is about direction. Two good people can walk separate paths. If their destinations are different, Allah protects your direction by adjusting your circle. And yes, this hurts. Because distance feels like loss. Silence feels like rejection. Being misunderstood feels painful. But Allah never removes without replacing. As people step back, Allah steps closer. You begin to feel Allah in quiet moments, in pause, in stillness. Your heart learns to sit with Him, not asking, not rushing, just being present. And in that presence, confusion slowly fades. Clarity does not arrive loudly. It settles gently. You begin to know what matters. You begin to sense what to let go of. You begin to feel what direction your heart wants to walk. And this clarity is calm. It does not scream. It does not demand. It does not rush. It feels like peace. This is why Allah removes noise before He gives direction. Because direction requires a heart that is quiet enough to listen and strong enough to trust. If you are in this stage today, do not rush it. Do not force yourself to go back to noise. Do not guilt yourself for needing space. Allah is doing deep work. Work that cannot be done in crowds. Work that cannot be done in chaos. Work that requires silence. And when the time is right, Allah will guide you gently, clearly, confidently. Until then, rest in the quiet, because Allah is closer there than anywhere else. Distraction leaves when Allah is preparing you for responsibility. There comes a moment in life when something inside you becomes serious. Not heavy, not sad, but serious. You begin to feel that time is different now. Hours don't feel endless anymore. Days don't feel cheap anymore. Moments feel important. You start noticing how quickly time passes, how fast years disappear, how easily life moves forward without waiting for anyone. And suddenly wasting time feels painful. Things you once did without thinking now feel uncomfortable. Endless talking feels draining. Pointless activities feel heavy on your heart. You start asking yourself quietly, why don't I enjoy this anymore? Why does this feel like a waste now? Why do I feel pressure to use my time better? This change is not random. This happens when Allah begins to prepare someone for responsibility. Before responsibility comes, Allah sharpens awareness. Because responsibility is not about position. It is about presence. Allah does not give responsibility to a distracted heart. For a long time, your focus was scattered, pulled by trends, pulled by people, pulled by expectations. Your energy was divided. Your attention was everywhere. Your heart was busy reacting instead of building. And Allah watched patiently. He saw how easily your time slipped away. He saw how your potential was being used on things that would not matter later. He saw how much you carried inside you. So Allah began to remove distraction, not suddenly, not harshly, but slowly. You no longer find joy in wasting hours. You no longer enjoy being busy without meaning. You no longer want to chase things that lead nowhere. This is not boredom. This is readiness. Allah prepares a person before He assigns them something important. You begin to feel a quiet pressure inside you, not stress, not fear, but a feeling that says, I need to be careful with my time. I need to focus. I cannot live carelessly anymore. This feeling confuses many people. They think they are becoming boring. They think they are losing their fun side. They think life is becoming dull. But what is really happening is deeper. Allah is moving you from a stage of consumption to a stage of contribution. Before, you were consuming life. Now, Allah wants you to carry something within it. And carrying requires strength. Strength does not come from distraction. It comes from discipline. This is why distraction leaves. You may notice that Allah removes your interest in certain habits. Things you used to repeat daily now feel empty. Things you defended before now feel pointless. Things you once prioritized now feel unimportant. And you feel guilty. You think, why can't I enjoy like others? Why do I feel different? Because Allah is not shaping you like others. He is shaping you for something specific. Not everyone is prepared for responsibility. Not everyone is meant to carry weight. But when Allah chooses someone, He changes how they see time, energy, and purpose. You begin to realize that every yes costs something. Every distraction steals something. Every careless moment adds up. And this awareness hurts. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You begin to feel uncomfortable when your days pass without meaning. You feel restless when you delay important things. You feel uneasy when you avoid growth. This is not anxiety. This is conscience. Allah awakens conscience before responsibility. You may also notice that Allah reduces your circle during this time. Not because people are bad, but because distraction often comes through company. Too many voices, too many invitations, too many influences. Allah knows that focus needs space. So He creates distance. Sometimes through circumstances, sometimes through misunderstandings, sometimes by removing your desire to engage. And yes, this can feel lonely, but loneliness is lighter than regret. Allah would rather you feel alone for a while than look back one day wishing you had focused earlier. You may feel like life is becoming strict, but discipline is not punishment. Discipline is protection. Allah is protecting your future by correcting your present. This is why distractions leave without warning. One day you wake up and you simply don't want certain things anymore. No announcement, no explanation, just a quiet change inside. And that change is sacred because Allah does not waste effort on hearts He does not intend to use. You begin to feel that your life is not random, that you were not created just to pass time, that you were not meant to live casually. You feel called to something deeper, even if you don't know what it is yet. And that uncertainty is part of preparation. Allah does not show the full picture immediately. He strengthens the person first. Focus is strength. Clarity is strength. Discipline is strength. And Allah builds strength step by step. If He showed you what He is preparing you for now, you might panic. You might feel unready. You might run away. So He prepares you quietly. By removing distraction, by sharpening awareness, by making you serious about your life. This stage can feel heavy because fun becomes rare. Carelessness disappears. Ease feels distant. But understand this, ease will return in a better form. Not shallow happiness, but deep peace. Not excitement, but fulfillment. Allah is not taking joy away from you. He is changing its source. From wasting time to using it well. From pleasing people to pleasing Him. From chasing distraction to building purpose. And when purpose enters the heart, distraction naturally leaves. When attachments hurt, Allah is reclaiming your heart. There comes a time when loving something starts to hurt, not suddenly, not loudly, but slowly. At first, you don't notice it. You still care, you still hold on, you still hope, but deep inside, something feels heavy. The same attachment that once brought comfort now brings anxiety. The same person, place, or dream that once gave you peace now leaves you restless, and you try to ignore it. You tell yourself, this is normal, this will pass. I just need to be patient. But the pain stays. This pain is not meaningless. Sometimes Allah allows attachment to hurt because the heart is holding something it was never meant to carry forever. The heart is soft. It was created to love, but it was not created to be owned by anything other than Allah. When the heart begins to depend too much on something, Allah gently intervenes, not immediately, not harshly. He allows discomfort to grow because comfort was keeping the attachment alive. You begin to feel emotionally tired. You love, but you feel drained. You care, but you feel empty afterward. You wait, but your heart feels anxious instead of hopeful. This is the moment many people blame themselves. They say, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I expect too much. Maybe I'm weak. But listen carefully. This is not weakness. This is Allah protecting your heart. Allah sees what you cannot see. He sees how much of yourself you are giving. He sees how little is coming back. He sees how your heart is shrinking to fit something small. And because Allah is merciful, He does not let that continue forever. So He allows the attachment to hurt, not to break you, but to wake you, because a heart that never hurts, never questions. And a heart that never questions, never grows. The pain you feel is a signal saying, this is no longer safe for your heart. At first, you resist, you try harder, you give more, you lower your needs. But the more you hold on, the heavier it feels, because Allah is gently pulling your heart back. Not away from love, but away from dependence. You see, there is a difference. Love gives energy. Dependence steals it. Love brings peace. Dependence brings fear. And Allah does not want your heart living in fear. So He allows cracks to appear. Small disappointments, repeated letdowns. Moments where you feel unseen. Each one hurts. But each one loosens the grip. This is not Allah being cruel. This is Allah being precise. He knows exactly how much pain is needed to detach the heart without destroying it. You may cry during this phase. Quiet tears. Hidden tears. Tears you don't tell anyone about. You may feel confused. How can something I love hurt me so much? Why does holding on feel harder than letting go? Because Allah is teaching you a sacred lesson. Anything that replaces Allah as your source of peace will eventually become a source of pain. This lesson is painful because it touches the deepest part of you, your emotions, your hopes, your future. But Allah never takes without replacing. As the attachment hurts, Allah begins to pull your heart closer to Him. You may notice that you pray differently now. Not rushed, not formal, but desperate, honest, raw. You speak to Allah from a place of exhaustion, and Allah listens. He listens not only to your words, but to your broken expectations. You begin to realize that your heart was never meant to rest fully in people, plans, or dreams. It was meant to rest in Allah. This realization does not come easily. It comes with tears, with silence, with nights that feel long. But it also comes with relief, because slowly, very slowly, you begin to feel lighter. Not because the pain disappears, but because the grip loosens. You stop forcing things to work. You stop begging for consistency. You stop shrinking yourself to stay connected. And that is when Allah begins to reclaim your heart. Not aggressively, but lovingly. He fills the empty space with calm, with acceptance, with trust. You begin to understand that letting go is not losing love. It is returning love to its rightful place. And Allah does not leave the heart empty. He fills it with Himself. Delays are Allah's way of protecting your attention. There are moments in life when waiting becomes painful. Not because you are impatient, but because you have already waited for so long. You asked Allah, you prayed sincerely, you did everything you knew how to do, and still nothing moved. Days passed, months passed, sometimes even years passed, and you began to feel tired in a way that words cannot explain. Not tired of life, not tired of effort, but tired of waiting. You sit quietly and ask yourself, why is nothing changing? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward except me? Why does Allah keep delaying this? This pain is one of the hardest tests of the heart, because delay does not look like mercy at first. It looks like silence. It looks like being forgotten. It looks like doors staying closed while you stand outside. And the heart begins to doubt. Not Allah, but itself. You start thinking, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe this is not meant for me. But listen carefully, very gently. Not every delay is rejection. Some delays are protection. Allah delays what you want. When it would arrive at the wrong time, in the wrong condition, with the wrong impact on your heart. Because Allah does not only look at what you want, He looks at what it will do to you. There are things that, if given too early, would steal your focus. There are blessings that, if given too soon, would distract you from who you are becoming. And Allah cares deeply about who you are becoming. You see, not every blessing comes alone. Some blessings come with pressure. Some come with responsibility. Some come with temptation. Some come with tests hidden inside them. And Allah knows your heart. He knows what would overwhelm you. He knows what would pull you away from Him. He knows what would slowly replace Him in your heart. So He delays, not to hurt you, but to protect your attention. Because focus is fragile. A distracted heart can lose years without realizing it. Allah would rather delay a blessing than allow it to destroy your direction. This is why waiting feels heavy, because waiting is shaping you. In delay, Allah teaches patience. In silence, Allah teaches trust. In stillness, Allah teaches surrender. And these lessons cannot be rushed. You may notice that during this waiting period, your desires begin to change. At first, you wanted the thing badly. You could picture it clearly. You dreamed about it constantly. But as time passes, your heart becomes quieter. You start asking different questions. Will this bring me closer to Allah? Will this distract me? Am I ready for what comes with this? This change did not happen on its own. Allah is training your heart. He is teaching you not to run after everything you desire. He is teaching you discernment, because not everything you want is something you should have. And not everything you should have should come immediately. Delay is Allah slowing you down, so your heart can catch up with your destiny. During this time, you may feel forgotten. You see others receiving what you asked for, others moving ahead, others celebrating, and your heart hurts. Not because you envy them, but because you don't understand your own pause. But Allah's pauses are intentional. He pauses your life to save you from rushing into something unprepared. Imagine being given something heavy without the strength to carry it. The gift would become a burden. Allah does not want your blessings to break you, so He strengthens you first. Delay builds strength in ways ease never could. It builds inner stability. It builds emotional control. It builds reliance on Allah, not outcomes. You learn to sit with uncertainty. You learn to breathe without answers. You learn to trust without proof. These are not small skills. These are spiritual muscles. And Allah does not waste effort on our heart. He does not intend to use. You may feel like your life is stuck, but deep inside, Allah is moving things you cannot see. He is removing distractions. He is aligning circumstances. He is protecting you from paths that look good but lead nowhere. And sometimes He is protecting you from yourself, from choices you would have made too early, from attachments you would have formed too quickly, from pride that success might have awakened. Allah delays because He loves. And love does not always give immediately. Love gives wisely. During delay, you may also notice that Allah draws you closer to Him. Your prayers become longer. Your conversations with Allah become honest. Your dependence shifts from people to Him. Before, you prayed for the thing. Now, you pray for strength. Before, you begged for outcomes. Now, you ask for peace. This shift is not accidental. Allah is teaching you that even if the thing never comes, He is enough. And once the heart truly learns that, everything changes. Because a heart that finds sufficiency in Allah cannot be destroyed by delay. The waiting still hurts, but it no longer breaks you. You begin to understand that your life is not behind. It is being protected. Protected from rushing, protected from distraction, protected from losing Allah while gaining everything else. And this protection is priceless. As the waiting continues, something very deep begins to happen inside you. At first, you were waiting with hope. Then you were waiting with questions. Then you were waiting with pain. Now you are waiting with silence. Not because you stopped caring, but because your heart is learning a different language. You begin to realize that constantly asking when was exhausting your soul. So Allah slowly teaches your heart how to wait without panic. This stage is heavy because you are no longer fueled by excitement, but the blessing has still not arrived. You feel tired, but still standing. This is where many people break. This is where people rush. They take shortcuts. They force doors. They settle for things Allah never chose for them. Not because they are bad people, but because waiting feels unbearable. And Allah knows this. That is why He stays close during long delays. You may not feel Him loudly, but He is there in your quiet sighs, in your deep breaths, in the moments you stop complaining and just sit. Allah watches how you wait. Not how long you wait, but how you wait. Because waiting reveals the truth of the heart. When things are easy, everyone trusts Allah. But when nothing moves, only sincere hearts remain steady. During this stage, Allah slowly removes expectations from people. You stop expecting others to understand your journey. You stop expecting support from everyone. You stop expecting life to explain itself. This hurts at first because expectations feel like safety, but expectations also bring disappointment. So Allah gently empties your heart of them, not to make you cold, but to make you free. You begin to rely on Allah in a quieter way. Not begging, not demanding, but leaning. You wake up and say, Allah, you know. And somehow that feels enough. This is growth. Many people think strength is loud confidence. But real strength is calm trust when nothing makes sense. Allah builds this strength in waiting. You may notice that your ego softens during this time. Before, you wanted results to prove something. To prove you were capable. To prove you were worthy. Now, you just want peace. This is Allah purifying your intention. He is removing pride before He gives you provision. Because success with pride destroys, but success with humility elevates. Allah delays blessings until the heart can carry them safely. Not without gratitude, not without balance, not without losing Him. During long waiting periods, Allah also teaches you to sit with yourself. No distractions, no achievements to hide behind. Just you and your thoughts. You begin to see your fears clearly, your insecurities, your weaknesses. This is uncomfortable, but this is healing because what is seen can be healed. Allah brings these things to the surface so they don't poison your future blessings. He cleans the inside before He decorates the outside. You may feel emotionally exhausted here. You still pray, but without energy. You still trust, but without excitement. And you think, is this faith? Yes, this is mature faith. Faith that stays even when emotions are gone. Faith that doesn't rely on feelings. Faith that says, even if I don't understand, I trust you. Allah loves this kind of faith because it is real. This is also when Allah teaches you something very important. That your worth was never tied to what you were waiting for. You were worthy before it. You are worthy without it. And you will be worthy after it. The delay was never about your value. It was about your protection. There are things Allah delayed because they would have arrived with distractions. Distractions that would have pulled your heart away from prayer, away from humility, away from Him. Allah saw that danger long before you did. So He stood in the way. Even when you cried, even when you begged, even when you didn't understand. This is love, heart love, quiet love, protective love. And one day, maybe slowly, maybe suddenly, you will look back and realize something shocking. You will realize that the delay saved you from rushing into something unready, saved you from attachments that would have consumed you, saved you from losing Allah while gaining the world. And when the blessing finally arrives, if it arrive, it will not shake you because you will be grounded. Your focus will be clear. Your heart will be steady. Your priorities will be in place. And if the blessing never arrives in the form you expected, you will still be okay. Because Allah taught you how to live without depending on outcomes. And that is true freedom. So if you are still waiting today, still standing, still praying quietly, know this: Allah is not late. Allah is not careless. Allah is not ignoring you. He is protecting your focus. He is shaping your heart. He is preparing you for a life that will not break you. And when the time is right, what is written for you will arrive gently, without stealing your peace, without stealing your faith, without stealing Allah from your heart. Until then, wait with trust, because Allah never wastes a waiting heart. Allah simplifies life when you are ready to grow. There comes a phase in life when everything begins to slow down. Not suddenly, not loudly, but quietly. Your life looks simpler than before. Fewer people call, fewer messages come, fewer plans exist. And at first, this scares you. You start thinking, why is my life becoming so small? Why does it feel like everything is reducing? Why am I not surrounded like before? This stage is deeply misunderstood. Many people think simplicity means failure. They think less means loss. They think quiet means being left behind. But sometimes simplicity is the clearest sign of growth. Allah simplifies life when the heart is ready to grow. Before, your life was busy, too busy. Busy with people's needs, busy with expectations, busy with unnecessary commitments, busy with noise. Your heart was stretched thin. You gave energy everywhere. You explained yourself constantly. You tried to be present for everything. And Allah saw how tired you were. He saw how little space was left for Him. He saw how overwhelmed your soul had become. So Allah began to simplify, not to empty your life, but to protect your heart. He removes excess, not because those things were evil, but because they were too much. A heart can only carry so much. When the heart carries too many attachments, it becomes heavy. When it becomes heavy, it cannot rise. Allah wants your heart to rise, so He lightens it. This is why people slowly fall away. Not always through conflict, sometimes just through distance. This is why schedules loosen. This is why invitations stop. This is why life becomes quieter. And you feel strange because the world teaches you that busy means important, that surrounded means valued, that loud means alive. But Allah teaches differently. Allah teaches that calm is strength, that focus is power, that simplicity is clarity. You begin to notice that you have more time now, time to think, time to reflect, time to sit quietly. And at first, this feels uncomfortable. Because when life slows down, you hear yourself, you hear your thoughts, you hear your fears, you hear your unanswered questions. And many people rush to escape this. They fill the silence, they stay busy, they distract themselves. But Allah does not let you escape, because He wants to heal you. Healing does not happen in chaos. Healing happens in stillness. This is why Allah simplifies life. So you can breathe, so your soul can rest, so your heart can reconnect with Him. You may also notice that your desires change during this phase. You don't want as much anymore. You don't crave excess. You don't chase everything. You become content with little. And this confuses people. They say, you used to want more. You used to dream bigger. You used to be more ambitious. But what they don't see is this: your ambition did not die. It matured. Before, you wanted more things. Now, you want more peace. Before, you wanted attention. Now, you want alignment. Before, you wanted speed. Now, you want direction. This is growth. Allah removes complexity when it starts blinding you. Too many options confuse the heart. Too many voices weaken focus. Too many attachments drain the soul. So Allah reduces, and reduction feels painful only if you believe you are losing something. But if you look closely, you are not losing. You are being freed. Freed from expectations that were never yours. Freed from roles that exhausted you. Freed from attachments that demanded too much. You may feel lighter even if life feels quieter. This lightness is intentional. Allah is making space. Space for clarity. Space for purpose, space for Him. You may also notice that your faith becomes simpler, not complicated, not forced, just sincere. Your du'as become shorter but deeper. Your prayers become calmer but stronger. Your connection with Allah becomes quieter but closer. You no longer try to impress Allah with words. You just speak honestly. The simplicity is powerful because Allah loves sincerity more than performance. And Allah loves hearts that come to Him without distractions. You may also notice that Allah removes drama from your life. Less emotional shouts, less unnecessary conflict, less reaction. Not because you don't care, but because you have learned what is worth your energy. This is wisdom. Allah simplifies your reactions so your heart stays protected. You stop responding to everything. You stop explaining everything. You stop fixing everything. And you feel peace, not excitement. Peace. And peace is deeper than excitement. Excitement fades. Peace stays. Allah is teaching you to value what stays. During this stage, you may feel invisible, not seen, not celebrated, not noticed. And this hurts because part of you still wants recognition, but Allah hides those He wants to protect. Visibility attracts distraction. Invisibility builds strength. Allah is not ignoring you. He is protecting you while He prepares you. When life is simple, focus becomes sharp. You see clearly what matters and what doesn't. You stop wasting energy on what won't matter later, and this clarity is priceless. Allah simplifies life for those He intends to elevate, because complexity weakens the heart, but simplicity strengthens it. Focus is a sign that Allah trusts you. There comes a moment in life when you begin to feel something quietly powerful inside you. Not pride, not confidence, but certainty. A calm knowing that you did not have before. You don't announce it. You don't explain it. You don't show it, but you feel it. You feel that your heart is no longer confused the way it once was. You feel that you see things clearly now. You feel that your soul understands more than your mouth can explain. And this feeling surprises you because you did not ask for it. It came after pain, after silence, after waiting, after being misunderstood. This stage comes when Allah begins to trust you. Not with wealth, not with fame, not with position, but with awareness. And awareness is a heavy trust. Not everyone can carry it. For a long time you lived reacting to situations, reacting to people, reacting to emotions. You were pulled easily, influenced quickly, affected deeply. But now, something has changed. You pause before you react. You think before you speak. You observe before you decide. This is not fear. This is wisdom forming. Allah does not give depth to every heart. Depth requires responsibility, because once you see clearly, you are responsible for how you act. Ignorance is light. Awareness is heavy. And Allah only gives heaviness to those He knows can carry it. You may notice that your words are fewer now, not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand the weight of words. Before, you spoke to be heard. Now, you speak to be true. You choose silence often. Not because you are weak, but because you are careful. Careful with hearts. Careful with intentions. Careful with impact. This carefulness is not anxiety. It is trust. Allah trusts you not to misuse awareness. You also begin to feel that your decisions carry weight now. You don't decide quickly. You don't move impulsively. You don't jump into things. You feel a sense of responsibility toward your own soul. You ask yourself quietly, will this take me closer to Allah or away? Will this disturb my peace or protect it? Will this grow me or drain me? These questions were not always there. They appeared slowly. And their presence is not accidental. Allah trains the heart before He entrusts it with clarity. Many people think clarity is a gift. But clarity is also a burden. Because once you know, you can no longer pretend. Once you see, you can no longer act blindly. And Allah does not place this burden on a careless heart. He places it on a heart that has been softened by hardship. This is why your awareness came after pain. Pain stripped away arrogance. Pain removed illusions. Pain humbled the soul. And humility makes the heart safe. Safe enough to hold understanding without becoming proud. You may notice that you feel different from others now. Not superior, just different. Things that excite people around you don't excite you. things that disturb others don't shake you the same way. This is not coldness, this is stability. Allah has anchored your heart. So when storms come, you feel them, but you are not swept away. This stability did not come from comfort, it came from trust. Allah trusted you enough to let you walk through confusion until clarity was born. You may also notice that people come to you differently now. They share, they open up, they ask, even without you trying. This happens because clarity attracts honesty. A calm heart feels safe to others, not because you have answers, but because you listen without judgment. Allah gives this quality to those He trusts, because influence is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, and quiet influence lasts longer. You may wonder sometimes, why do I see things others don't? Why do I feel things deeply? Why does my heart carry so much understanding? Because Allah chose you to see. And seeing is not easy. Seeing means you notice pain others ignore. Seeing means you feel responsibility others avoid. Seeing means you cannot live carelessly anymore. But it also means you walk with purpose. You walk aware of Allah's presence. You walk conscious of consequences. You walk gently through life. This gentleness is strength. Not everyone who is loud is strong. Not everyone who reacts is powerful. True strength is restraint. And Allah gives restraint to those He trusts. You may also feel a deep sense of accountability now. You feel responsible for your time, your energy, your intentions. You no longer live loosely. You live intentionally, and intention changes everything. When Allah trusts someone, He sharpens their inner compass. You don't need constant signs. You don't need constant reassurance. Your heart knows when something is right and when something is not. This knowing is not magic. It is guidance. Guidance born from sincerity. Allah does not guide loudly. He guides steadily. And you feel it in your calm decisions, in your quiet refusals. In your careful steps, you begin to understand that not every opportunity is meant for you. And saying no does not scare you anymore because you value alignment more than approval. This is maturity. This is Allah trusting your heart to choose wisely. But this trust also comes with loneliness, because once Allah refines your awareness, you cannot return to who you were before. You cannot unlearn what you know. You cannot ignore what you see. And this creates distance. Distance from old habits. Distance from old circles. Distance from old versions of yourself. This distance hurts, but it also protects. Allah would not isolate your heart if He did not trust it with something greater. You are not meant to blend in anymore. You are meant to walk consciously. And conscious walking is rare. This is why Allah does not give it to everyone. A focused heart walks straight toward Allah. There comes a point in life when something inside you becomes very still, not empty, not weak, still. You are no longer rushing the way you used to. You are no longer chasing the way you once did. You are no longer pulled in every direction. And this stillness feels unfamiliar. Before, your heart was always moving, always searching, always worrying about what's next. Now, there is a quiet steadiness inside you. And you wonder, why do I feel this calm? Why am I not panicking like before? Why do things not shake me the same way anymore? This is not coincidence. This happens when the heart finally chooses one direction, when the heart stops wandering. For a long time, your heart was split. Part of it wanted Allah, part of it wanted dunya, part of it wanted peace, part of it wanted control. And this division exhausted you, because a divided heart is always tired. But Allah does not leave the heart divided forever. When Allah refines the heart completely, He gives it direction. And direction brings calm. You begin to realize that you cannot run everywhere. You cannot want everything. You cannot hold on to everything. So the heart chooses. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. It chooses Allah. And once that choice is made, everything changes. You still live in the world. You still work. You still plan. But the world no longer lives inside you. This is the difference. Before, problems lived inside your chest. Fear lived inside your thoughts. Pressure lived inside your prayers. Now those things knock, but they don't enter, because the heart has found its center. And that center is Allah. This stage often arrives after exhaustion, After trying everything, after fixing everything, after worrying about everything, you reach a point where you say quietly, I can't carry this anymore. And that surrender is not defeat. It is arrival. Allah does not fight you for control. He waits. He waits until you are tired of carrying what was never yours to carry. Then gently, He takes over. This is why calm comes. Not because life becomes easy, but because your heart stops resisting Allah's control. You stop asking, why me? You stop saying, this shouldn't be happening. You start saying, Allah knows. Allah sees. Allah is enough. And these words are not spoken out of habit. They rise naturally. This is when the heart walks straight, no longer zigzagging between fear and hope, no longer pulled by opinions, no longer confused by outcomes. It walks toward Allah, step by step. And this walking is quiet, no announcement, no audience, no applause, just a heart moving steadily. This is why distractions no longer tempt you the same way. You can see them clearly now. You see how they promise comfort but deliver stress. You see how they offer excitement but steal peace. You see how they look attractive but leave emptiness. And because you see clearly, they lose power. Temptation only controls the blind. Once the heart sees, it chooses differently. You also begin to understand loss differently. Before, loss felt like failure. Now, loss feels like redirection. Before, closed doors made you panic. Now, they make you pause. You trust that if Allah closed it, it was never meant to protect you. This trust is not naive. It is earned. Earned through pain, through disappointment, through prayers that went unanswered. And yet, you are still here, still believing, still standing. That is strength. When the heart walks straight toward Allah, it no longer needs guarantees. It no longer needs signs at every step. It trusts the path because it trusts the guide. This is why fear weakens. Fear comes from uncertainty. But when Allah becomes your direction, uncertainty no longer scares you. You don't need to see the whole road. You just need to know who you are walking with. And Allah never abandons those who walk toward Him sincerely. You may notice that your life does not look impressive to others. You may not be loud. You may not be visible. You may not be celebrated. But inside, there is peace. And peace is rare. Rare because it cannot be faked. Rare because it cannot be bought. Rare because it only comes from Allah. You stop competing. You stop comparing. You understand that everyone is walking their own path. And your path is between you and Allah. This frees you, free from pressure, free from timelines, free from expectations. You walk at the pace Allah chose for you. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. And even when you stumble, you don't collapse because your heart knows where to return. This is the beauty of a heart that walks straight. It may fall, but it never gets lost. Because Allah is always ahead, calling it back. As the steady walking continues, something beautiful begins to settle deep inside you. You stop asking life to prove itself to you. Before, you needed signs, reassurance, guarantees. You wanted to know how things would turn out. You wanted to see the full picture. You wanted certainty before you moved. But now, you move even when you don't see clearly. Not because you are careless, but because you trust the one guiding you. This is a very rare place for the heart to reach. Because most hearts want control. They want clarity before commitment. They want safety before surrender. But a heart that has tasted Allah's closeness no longer demands explanations. It rests. You may notice that problems still come. Life does not suddenly become easy. People still disappoint. Plans still change. Loss still visits. But your reaction is different now. Before, problems entered your chest. They lived there. They stole your sleep. Now, they knock, but they don't stay. You acknowledge them. You deal with them. Then you hand them to Allah. And this handing over is not dramatic. It is quiet. You say, Allah, you see this. And you move on. This does not mean you don't care. It means you care without drowning. This is emotional maturity shaped by faith. You begin to understand something very important, that Allah never promised a life without storms. He promised a heart that would not sink, and that promise is now alive inside you. You also notice that your prayers feel different. Before, your prayers were full of urgency. Fear, desperation. Now, they are calm, not because you don't need anything, but because you trust Allah's timing. You ask, but you don't cling. You hope, but you don't panic. You wait, but you don't despair. This balance is sacred because desperation drains the heart, but trust strengthens it. Allah teaches this balance slowly, through delays, through loss, through silence, until the heart learns to say, whatever you choose for me is better. And it means it. You may also notice that you are kinder now, not softer in a weak way, but gentler in a wise way. You understand pain better. You don't judge quickly. You don't rush to conclusions because you know how confusing life can be. This compassion is not accidental. A heart that walks with Allah learns mercy. Because Allah treated you with mercy when you were lost. You also become less reactive. Before, words could shake you, opinions could disturb you, criticism could hurt deeply. Now you listen, but you don't absorb everything. You understand that not every voice deserves space in your heart. This is not arrogance, this is discernment. Allah taught you to protect your inner world because your inner world is where He meets you. And you guard it carefully. You may notice that your life looks simple. No drama, no chaos. No loud celebrations, and people may think you are missing out, but you know something they don't. You know how heavy chaos feels. You know how expensive distraction is. You know how painful confusion can be, and you choose peace. Not because life is perfect, but because Allah is present. This presence is enough. You also begin to feel a strange strength during hardship. When something goes wrong, you don't collapse. You bend, but you don't break. Because your strength is no longer coming from circumstances. It comes from connection. And connection cannot be shaken by events. Allah becomes your reference point. When things go well, you thank Him. When things go wrong, you turn to Him. Either way, you are connected. And this consistency stabilizes the heart. You may still feel pain. Faith does not remove pain. It gives it meaning. You may still cry, but your tears are softer now. They don't come from despair. They come from release. You cry, then you feel lighter because you trust Allah with what hurts. You don't carry it alone anymore. This is the beauty of surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up effort. It means giving up control. You do what you can and you leave the rest to Allah. And in that balance, peace lives. You may also notice that your goals feel different now. Before, goals were about proving something, about becoming something, about being seen. Now goals are keter. They are about alignment, about meaning, about being right with Allah. And this shift changes everything. You stop chasing success at the cost of your soul. You stop sacrificing peace for progress. You stop trading Allah for outcomes. You want barakah more than applause. And barakah transforms even small efforts into something powerful. A heart walking toward Allah does not need to be loud. Its impact is quiet but lasting. You may not change the world dramatically, but you will change the hearts you touch through calm, through sincerity, through presence. And this is real influence. Influence that does not burn you out. Influence that does not corrupt you. Influence that does not steal Allah from your life. You also begin to understand destiny differently. Before, destiny felt scary. Now it feels comforting because you know who writes it. You stop fighting reality. You stop asking, why did this happen? And you start asking, what is Allah teaching me here? This question changes pain into wisdom, and wisdom stays. As you continue walking toward Allah, you realize something very freeing. You don't need to arrive anywhere special. The walking itself is success. Every step taken with sincerity is a step accepted by Allah, and acceptance is greater than achievement. So you walk calmly, not rushing, not dragging, just trusting. And even when the path feels lonely, you don't feel alone because Allah is with you. Closer than fear, closer than doubt, closer than uncertainty. This is the end of wandering. This is the beginning of steady living. A heart that knows where it is going does not fear how long it takes because it trusts the destination. And the destination is Allah. If you've stayed until this moment, then understand something very important. Allah did not bring you here by accident. Everything you felt during this video, the heaviness, the comfort, the quiet understanding, that was Allah speaking to your heart. In a language only you could hear. You are not falling behind in life. You are not being forgotten, and you are not losing anything that was meant to stay. Allah was not taking from you to hurt you. He was taking from you to protect you. He was clearing your path, refining your focus, strengthening your heart, so that when the time comes, nothing distracts you from what truly matters. If things left your life quietly, they were never meant to walk with you further. If doors closed without explanation, they were protecting you from something you could not yet see. And if your heart feels calmer than before, even without answers, that calm is a gift. It means Allah is closer to you now than He was before the noise. Do not rush the next chapter. Do not chase what Allah removed. And do not fear the silence, because Allah does His deepest work in quiet places. Stay patient, stay focused, stay connected. And remember this, when Allah refines someone's focus, He is not preparing them to lose. He is preparing them to rise without losing themselves. May Allah keep your heart steady, your focus clear, and your path protected. Ameen.